Thank you for watching our video on the LPM Ultimate Topper. Questions come up as if the profile can be hidden slightly when it's off. So we're going to attempt to paint this to see how it's going to turn out. Now this is a fan itself. The main thing that lights up is there's an LED strip inside this black bar, and this is covered with a plexiglass coating. We're going to tape that off. This is where the micro SD card goes. We're going to tape that off. There's some fans or some vents to cool it. We're going to tape that off, and we're going to put tape in between the fan and the housing because we don't want to get any paint inside there. Now the process we're going to use to do this is for masking tape. I personally prefer the frog tape. Frog tape has a chemical on the back that when tape touches it, it will dry immediately, so you don't get the veins that you might get with other types of masking tape. And we're going to use this to tape off all those areas. Now another trick that we use to help reduce any of the veins that come from masking tape is once we get the masking tape on here, we're going to spray it with a clear coat. And so if there is a little bit of veins, the clear coat will fill those veins in. Then we're going to use a good quality primer to prime it. Not all paints will adhere well to plastic. We've tested all of these. We've tested the primer, the clear coat, and the white on the clear coat to make sure that they all adhere well on the back, so we know this should work. Now we're only going to paint the front of the blade because we don't want to add any more weight to the blade than is needed. Plus we're going to be very careful to put an even coat on the blade because we don't want an unbalanced load. Once it's all white, we're going to take our paint color that's from our home and we're going to use a foam roller, and we're going to roll the color of paint on here. That's our wall paint. So when we're done, most of this will be the color of the wall paint, and we'll play that on the machine and we'll see how it looks compared to one that's not painted. Thank you. Okay, so now we've gotten the LEDs taped off, the SD card port, and the cooling vents. What we did to keep the paint out of here is we just took old cloth that we wrapped around that area, and we're just going to cut it, and it'll be pushed in there, so that'll protect any bearings or anything that might be there. Now we're just going to do a light dusting of this clear, and by the way, all the products we have here, except for the fan, we purchased at Lowe's. So we'll just do a slight dusting of this, and then the next step is we'll do the primer after that. Okay, so this is the fan with the primer on it. Now again, the steps that we took is we used a clear, and we only really wanted the clear on the top just to help keep a nice good line there. But from there we used a coat of primer. We just wanted enough primer so it'd give a good adhesion for the home paint. We didn't want to put too much weight on the fan because we don't want to get it unbalanced, and we opted not to paint the back because the back won't be visible in most circumstances, but it'll keep the weight off of it. Now the next step is we're going to use a foam roller and a house paint to cover up this, and we'll see how that looks. Okay, now this is with the house paint color on it. We already pulled out the string out to protect that area, and then we'll just remove all of the tape that we had over the critical areas that we didn't want any paint to go. And then on the top blade, I'd recommend pulling it. You might even want to score it, but if you pull it straight off, you should have the least chance of running the paint. And if you look, you see there's none of those veins that you sometimes get with painter's tape. A combination of the frog tape with the first coat of clear, we'll get rid of any of those possibilities. And I'm going to be a little bit cautious here at the end, just because I don't want it to tear the tape or the paint. There we go. Now I'm going to put a card in there. It's got about 5 videos from our Jurassic Park set. Our Jurassic Park set has about 25, 26 videos on it, so it's a pretty large set. But we'll put this in, we'll put it on the pinball machine, and we'll see how it looks. Now when we record that, we are going to have the room at a standard light, and we're going to have the shutter speed on the camera at a standard shutter speed. So I'll tell you, even before you look at it, you will see a glitch on the playing of the fan, and that's because the shutter speed doesn't match up to the speed of the fan. If we match the shutter speed up to the speed of the fan, it would make it a lot darker, which would kind of overpower the reason we're doing this, to see how this color will look. So next step is we'll set this up on the game. Oh, I did forget one thing, is you want to also paint a section of your power cord. So this will, your power cord will plug into the back, and as this sets on the stand, you'll have your power cord run either on the side or the back of your plexiglass. This will also match the paint in the house. Okay, this is with the colored fan on the stand. The power cord, of course, is also colored, and we don't have the power cord taped down. It's just hanging there, and you can see you hardly see it. But that really cleans up the look if you want to hide that on top a little bit. Now we're going to plug this in, and a couple things to remember. It does take it about a second to get to full speed, so the picture's off a little bit. Every time the fan starts, it also puts the logo of the 3D hologram on there. And also, because we're not recording this in a high shutter speed, the image is going to be a little distorted. But here's a few examples of the Jurassic Park set. Actually, that comes out really clear. You can't see the housing or the fan blades at all on that. And again, that color distortion and the lines, the true colors don't really come out through this because it's the shutter speed and those blade distortions you're seeing. You don't see that in real life. Like that orange is a nice bright red in realistic. We have 3 different shots from the computer on the set of videos that you get. This is one of the 3 different sets. And this was actually a request by a few people to do a Mr. DNA. Again, those lines that you see on the fan, you won't see at all. Well, that'll give you an idea. Now I'm going to stop the fan again so you can see how it blends in so well with the wall. Very clean, hardly noticeable. Now we also are going to do the same shot with the high speed shutter. Because of the high speed shutter, we don't have as much light, so you really can't see the outline as well. But we'll start the fan up and we'll show this is more true to the actual colors that you'll see, and you'll see the most of the blade distortion is gone. You still see a little bit, but you don't see that in real life. But you can see the colors are much more truer now with this particular shutter speed. We'll let this go a couple seconds into the screensaver, and it'll give you a pretty good idea. Thank you for watching our video. If you want to paint your fan.